What's up, you beautiful, blessed boys and girls? This is Tyler Tote. Today's topic is a hard one for me personally. I think it's a hard one for a lot of people, but it's one that was just modeled on a world stage by this pretty awesome lady. That's Erika Kirk. And if you've been living under a brick for the last couple weeks, you've failed to realize that her husband was assassinated pretty publicly here a couple weeks ago. And she went up in front of the world and said, I not only pray for and forgive the guy that shot my husband, but I hope he finds Jesus and I hope I see him in heaven one day. And this was just powerful stuff. And really resonated with me on what radical forgiveness is and what that looks like. So I want to talk with you guys today on that. Let's hop in. I think the first thing to realize on this topic is, look, we've all been wronged. I can definitely say myself, I've had people treat me poorly, people treat other people that I love very poorly. And often our first instincts and our natural reaction is to want to get even, want to get vengeance. In fact, I kind of joked on social media a little bit ago that, my wife told me that a couple decades ago, she was telling me a story a few years ago, a couple decades ago about someone that did her wrong. And my first initial human natural reaction was, who is it? Give me their name. Are they on social media? Can I track them down? Can I get even? Can I pay vengeance for what I think they did to you? And I think, again, that's a very natural reaction. I've had people hurt me in the past. I'm sure if you're watching this, you don't need to think too long or hard about people that have done you wrong or hurt you in the past. And so what I want to talk today is how do we get this what I would call supernatural, because it's definitely not a natural reaction to forgive, but why that's so important, how that can heal and really do more for you than it even can the other person. And I think we need to explore some of that today. So one thing I want to talk about here is, I always have this saying that hating other people from a distance, I've never understood this. I get a lot of hate online. I just want you to live your best life and do everything well. And, this is my message. But I still get a lot of hate. And I've never understood that. And I always tell people, man, like wishing me to do poorly or me wishing anyone to do poorly, all that really is drinking poison every day yourself and hoping that your enemy dies. It's really just a foolish way to choose to live. Now, I think sometimes it's justified. And I think before we go any further on this topic, it's very important to say, I have people in my life that I have forgiven, but I won't invite them to my table anymore. I will pray for them, I will wish them well. But I do think if a person shows you who they are enough times, I believe the Lord can change their heart and can do anything for them. But I'm still not going to invite them to my table. I've had people steal from me in the past. I've had people do some things that I, and maybe they've changed and I hope so. But I am a fool if I continue to allow them to be around me in positions where they could continue to steal or do some things like that. So I think it is wise sometimes to have a healthy boundary. But I also think, again, if we're not going to forgive people and we're going to hold these grudges and we're going to bear this, we're the ones suffering, not the person who committed the crime. And if I'm honest, I'm really guilty about this. I'm not going to get into how or what or why, but when I close my eyes, there's a couple people in my past, one in particular that, man, I have never forgiven, I have never let go. And yesterday on a world stage in front of hundreds of thousands of people in Arizona and tens of millions streaming online, Erika Kirk went up and in tears, her husband less than 2 weeks ago was publicly assassinated and said, I forgive the guy who pulled the trigger. I forgive him. He was radicalized. My husband was actually trying to free and help a lot of these people that were radicalized to come over this way. And whether you believe all the political stuff or not, I'm kind of not interested in a lot of that stuff. But I think, the main message being, man, this is radical forgiveness. This is not something that any human being could do on their own. And so, again, I think the only way going forward that we can have any hope at this is it can't be a natural human thing because the human condition is to hold grudges, to hate people. They did us wrong. We're getting even. We want vengeance. We want payback. That's what we want. And so I've had to really dig deep and do some soul searching here lately, and I'd urge you to do the same. And we've got to elevate to that supernatural level where I believe only Jesus in us can do this. And it's really challenged me seeing some of this in the last couple of days of how can I be better? Am I a fool for still drinking some of that poison, hoping that this guy will die? That's a foolish way to live. A lot of these people that maybe did us wrong in the past, they don't even think about us anymore. It's just very foolish to even allow us to give them any energy or give any energy away from what our mission is. So I went to a really old book and I said, well, what's some wisdom that maybe this really old book? It's the best-selling book of all time, greatest author of all time. You've probably heard of it. It's called the Bible. And so I opened that up and I said, well, what are some verses on that about radical forgiveness and where I could learn to grow in my own life on this? Here's what I found. Ephesians 4:32, be kind and compassionate to one another. Forgive each other just as Christ forgave you. Matthew 6:14 and 15. For if you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive other their sins, your Father will not forgive yours. Colossians 3:13. Bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you has a grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you. I could go on and on and on about there's so many illustrations in the Bible. When I read through a bunch of them, the main theme is like, look, I've done wrong to people. I've said things I wish I could take back. I mean, even in a successful marriage, it takes a partner willing to forgive and willing to find common ground and willing to meet. And honestly, we're at such a divided time in our country, in our world, where it's just kind of crazy now. And it's this side said this, and I want to get him for this, and my team's over here, and we're all so tribal as humans. And man, I'm just really looking to build bridges and forgive people and find common ground and say, you know what? It is not in my nature to do this, but it is a supernatural thing that I need to look inward and grow in my own faith to be able to do this. So I would say thank you to Erika Kirk for providing just an amazing example at this. Don't know her personally, I doubt I'll ever meet her, but man, to go up on a stage like that and to be able to say, like, I don't think any of us could imagine that. I mean, if you even try and harm my wife, we're gonna be enemies in my mind, right? And so for her to go say this is, I forgive you. It really did spark something in me. And I hope it sparks something in you. And I hope that, we can get past this, my team, my side, and just stop hurling insults at each other and realize that the thing that's going to bring us together, in my mind, is faith in Jesus Christ. It's doing supernatural things. It's forgiving your enemies. It's saying, I'm going to extend a hand. And again, I want to emphasize, I don't think this means that you're a punching bag or you're a doormat or you constantly say, well, I'm just going to forgive everything. Keep coming in my house and robbing me. It's just, it is what it is. Like, no, I'm not saying that. What I am saying is none of us deserve forgiveness. None of us deserve what Jesus did for us on the cross. None of us deserve this life and all the beautiful things that we get to do, but we get it. And God grants us that. And if we're trying to be more Christ-like and we're trying to be closer to God and His will for our life, I don't believe we can ever reach our full potential if we're still harboring a lot of this unforgiveness, a lot of this past hurt, and I can't wait for revenge and this or that. So I am not going to minimize this in any way. This is something I struggle with. This isn't some of the topics you can look back on my YouTube channel, and I do feel like I'm an expert in certain things and I can teach people in certain things. This is one where I need to say, hey guys, I'm praying on this. I need to get better. You got any tips, man? Share them. I would love to know that. I think that's how we get better as we grow in community. But I think we all need to pause, and life goes fast and we move fast. And I think a lot of times we've just got this stuff back up here that I'm not forgiving that. I'm gonna hate that. That person's my enemy. And I think that's the divisiveness that we just have to stop. And again, if we want to reach our full potential as Christ followers and ascend to new levels and have this inner peace and all these things that we all really, really want, I think all of us just need to take a moment after watching this and reflect and say, what allows a woman to go up 11 or 12 days after her husband was brutally murdered? Their children don't have a father anymore. I mean, just wrecked every plan for their life. And to say, I forgive this guy, the guy who pulled the trigger, I forgive you. That made me pause and just really look at some things in my life. And I'm hoping it does the same to you. Jesus speaks on the topic often, went through some of those verses. There's dozens more if you want to go look. But the last thing I'll just leave you with is this is again, if you are drinking the poison and you have this hate, this unforgiveness in your heart, and every day or even when they pop in your head, it's angst and it's anger and it's rage. It doesn't hurt the other person. The poison is going in you. And so I think we can all start to free ourselves today. I don't think this is an instantaneous thing. And look, I'm just going to say, I know some of you have been hurt in ways that I wouldn't wish upon anybody of my worst enemies of all times. I know that somebody out here watching this today is a victim of sexual abuse, of all kinds of the worst kinds of things. And I would just say, if you can continue to work towards that, seek the Lord, see what He says, and grow in that forgiveness, I believe you can feel that come off your shoulders at some point in the way that maybe I have in the last couple days, and I'm definitely not all there yet, if I'm going to be brutally honest with you. But I think we can all strive towards that and work towards that. So that's the message I want to give you guys today. I hope you have the greatest day of your life. I really hope, again, whether you lean left or lean right or what it is, I mean, man, I've had so many conversations with my friends since the Charlie Kirk thing happened, of people that adamantly disagreed with me on his message or who he was. And once we actually start talking, to be honest, we find that we really agree on about 90% of the things. And maybe the things we don't, we're not even that far off, but I can respect where they're coming from. They can usually respect where I'm coming from. So let's end this tribalism of us versus them. It's not us versus them, man. It's the human race. We all cohabitate on this planet. And so that's always my last message is go be kind to yourself, go be kind to others, go have the greatest day of your life. Forgive those who have done you wrong. You don't need to invite them to your table, but you do need to forgive them to live your best life. God bless and go have the best day.